Hey, what's up, everyone? I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. Welcome to the Improve Your Photography live stream. And I'm really excited today to bring on my guest, who, you might have seen her somewhere, maybe on YouTube. Who knows? Miss Irene Rudnyk.
Hey guys,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing really good. How are things over in Canada, as I like to call it?
It's actually warming up here finally, so it feels like spring. Uh,
Nice.
we've had snow for a very long time, and I'm really over it, and I'm ready for the grass and the flowers and everything. I'm wearing like a spring dress. I'm
I
I'm
see
ready.
that. It's like you're trying to will it into existence. I like that.
Yes, and I'm gonna apologize right away for the quality of my web camera. I was trying to set up a camera, but for some reason something went wrong last minute, and I had to like quickly set this up just on my laptop. But at least I hope that the sound is good.
Oh, it sounds really, really good. And we got some people joining in. So, for those of you guys who are watching the live stream right now, let me know in the comments section where you are listening from. And also, while you're there, leave your questions. It's a great opportunity to get your questions answered. So, Mr. Camera Junkie says hi. Juan Vasquez is here. Catherine Pina, Dwayne, and your wife. Miss Anita is here.
Yes.
Oh boy, we'll see if she does what you did. You know, she was on the live stream last week, and you were in the comments just like it was crazy. It was like a Bruce Lee movie where like everyone's just swarming, and you just pow, 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 just shooting people left and right.
I had so much fun.
It was good times. Maybe Anita will have her day in the
She
sun.
was jealous, yeah.
She was. She really wanted to just stir up some trouble in the comments, but it's all good. So we got Tina from Norway here. Juan is watching from Virginia Beach. And yeah, whoa, man, we got South Germany in the house. Another fellow Canadian. So Anita says she'll fight for you.
Awesome. Okay.
Nice. So for everybody else that's watching, let me know in the comments what questions it is that you guys have. But just to kind of get things started, so you were saying that it's been snowing up until recently. Did you get a chance to do any like snow photo shoots?
I did one at Christmas time. It was like one of my absolutely favorite photo shoots that I've done to date. And a lot of people are going to be happy because I used Flash. Dun, dun,
What?
dun.
No way. What did you use?
I used a Godox. Oh my God, what is the? It's one of their little new flashes,
Uh-huh.
like the rectangular ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so pretty much what I did is I just set it behind the model so it would backlight all of the snow falling down. So
Got
so it had the effect that I always do in all of my pictures, pretty much backlighting the subject. But with the flash, it lit up every single snow, like every
Mhm.
single, snowflake, and it looked so magical. So like those ones were one of my favorites. But in general, I hate shooting in the snow. I hate.
Uh-oh, I think she froze on us here. Let me see. We'll wait for her to come back on here. I think her connection went down. So while we're waiting for her to come back on, Tim says, hi, guys, you do amazing work. Would love Miguel to shoot Irene and Irene to edit. Man, that would be so much fun. Although, I don't know. I mean, maybe it could be kind of like a scary thing. I don't know about you guys, but kind of retouching your own photos
Oh my
sometimes.
goodness.
There she is. She's back.
I'm just having like troubles today. I don't know what it is.
Man, it's crazy. I was reading this comment. Tim was saying for me to photograph you and for you to edit.
Sorry, what was it again?
Tim Kaiser was saying in the comment here, he says, you guys do amazing work. Would love for Miguel to shoot Irene and Irene to edit.
Why for me to edit it?
I know, that's what I was
You don't
going to
trust
say.
Miguel with editing?
Yeah, you know what it is? I don't know about you, but like I always find it strange to retouch my own photos.
Oh yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
It's definitely weird.
when it's other people, it's one thing. When it's your own photo, you're like, man, I'm getting old. Like, this is crazy. I didn't notice I had all these like grays and, hairs popping out where they shouldn't be. Just not
Yeah,
good.
no, I made a TikTok about this.
Oh, really? Oh, so you're on TikTok, eh?
I
Oh my
really
gosh.
like TikTok. It's so much fun. I've been making some TikToks. I haven't been like advertising my TikTok at all. Like I haven't been posting it anywhere. I just kind of keep it to myself right now, but people can find it if they want to. But yeah, I
Well,
made like
they're about
a
to find it because I'm
TikTok.
about to pull it up.
It is very cringy, so be warned.
What? How come I can't find it? Google, you're failing me.
Oh, I don't know if you can access it from
You got to do it from the phone.
Google. I have no idea. I only use it just on my phone.
All right. Comment section. Time to investigate. We got to find these TikToks.
It was
Oh,
pretty much
man.
just like me like showing my pictures and then me editing, which is pretty much me sitting in like a baggy t-shirt and sweatpants and just like drinking a lot of Coke and like just like looking crazy. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Good times. Good times. Can you see the comments on the screen, by the way, on your. So on the upper right, there's a little tab that says comments.
I should go live comments. Oh yeah, I can see them.
Boom.
Yep.
Now you can see it. So Mubu was saying that's why you don't talk about snow. It freezes you. Dad jokes. We got dad jokes
I
in the
love
house.
dad jokes.
Catherine says, I love watching your tutorials on portrait lighting. Irene, I've been watching your tutorials since you started your YouTube channel.
Oh,
So
awesome.
how long have you been making videos on YouTube?
I think maybe like 3 or 4 years now. I
That's
started
it?
off. Yeah,
I feel
I
like
think
it's been forever.
I know it feels like that too to me.
Yeah.
I don't remember when was. Yeah, I think 3 or 4 years ago. But I started off, just kind of doing it for fun. I really never thought that I'm gonna be doing this as my job, like at all. I really love YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube myself. I pretty much we don't have cable TV. We only have like Netflix and a few other subscriptions and YouTube. So me and my husband, we both love watching YouTube, and I always kind of wanted to have a channel. And then once I started doing photography, I was like, oh, I can have a channel about photography. So yeah.
Do you remember your first YouTube video?
Yeah, it's really bad. Don't look it up. Oh my goodness. I'm waiting on like a milestone on my YouTube channel, and then maybe I'll do like reacting to my very first video, but it is hard to watch.
Yeah.
When did you start doing YouTube?
I started back, I think the first video I posted up might have been like 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. And I think it was like a review of like a Pocket Wizard trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was super, just like I was in my kitchen, I just put it on the table and just rambling about what was in the box and all this kind of stuff. It was pretty cringy as well. But I figured at the time what I was going to do was just make like product reviews and things like that. And who knew, like years later I'd be making videos about photography and
right.
And then doing live streams with you. So that's you wouldn't expect these things to happen. The world works really funny that way.
You see, my channel, like I started it because I saw so many review channels, because
Right.
At that time when like let's say like 5 years ago or something, photography community was very, very small. Like at that time you could just pretty much count on your hand, the very most popular YouTubers that were doing photography content. And I remember myself trying to learn photography, trying to look tutorials on YouTube. I didn't really find anything that like was speaking to me specifically. Everything was very like technical. Everything was very different from how I personally wanted to do things. So that's why I kind of started my YouTube channel, because I was like, I'm going to start doing things a little bit different than the stuff that I was seeing then. So I wanted to focus more on like the creative aspects of photography, on how to find outfits, how to DIY things. So like at the start, I had tons of do-it-yourself videos on like how to make crowns for photo shoots, how to
Mhm.
do dresses, things like that. So that's how I started.
That is pretty fun. We got Anita coming in with a question here.
Mhm.
What kind of comments on your videos trigger you the most?
Oh my God. Oh my God, there's many. I think the one,
There's many. She's just forever triggered.
yes, I am. I'm a Cancer. I don't know if you like believe in zodiac signs, but Cancers are very sensitive and they
Mm.
do not take criticism very well. And that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, great. Great. All right. I'll walk on eggshells on this. That's fine.
No, I'm just joking. Being on YouTube for so many years, you just learn to take criticism and not take comments like personally anymore, right? Like at the very beginning, it was kind of hard, and sometimes some comments just get to you. But with time, you just kind of realize that it is what it is. A lot of people will not like your work, but there's many, many more that do and that support you and they follow you, right? But I think the one that was really annoying to me for a long time was the flash comment. Like,
No, yeah,
like,
yeah.
why don't you shoot flash? Oh, it would look better with flash. And like, not even like, why don't you shoot flash? Because I understand that question. But comments like, this would look better with flash, or like, this would look better if you put some fill flash in there, like things like that. Because, like, I mean, maybe to you it would, but I mean,
It's not your style.
yeah, I'm shooting the way I want to shoot, and to me it looks the best, so like these kind of comments would just kind of annoy me because everyone has their own preferences and stuff. So I just don't believe in things like, oh, this would look better this way or this would look better this way.
Yeah. No, I
What about you?
totally agree. I think there's like a community of people out there that like incite those types of like, photography riots. It's like most people just by nature probably don't care until someone else of, any type of importance says something about it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, yeah, well, maybe they don't use it because they don't know how to use it and they don't want to say that they don't know how to use it. And, the reality is like, yeah, there's some people out there that are like very anti-flash and, they just like don't want to use it. But there's a lot of people that shoot natural light that I've seen shoot with a flash, and because they understand natural light, they do really good stuff with a flash.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, in my opinion, everyone should know how to use both.
mhm,
Like it's especially like, let's say, the stuff that I do, I don't really need to use flash because I go outside and I shoot in a specific time. I don't even work with clients anymore. Like I do all of my work just for YouTube pretty much.
mhm.
But when I used to do weddings and like client work, things like that, especially weddings, because there comes the time in a wedding where you're indoors and it's dark and like you need some type of light to light your situation, right? So
Right.
it's always good to know how to use flash and all these things, but there's time and place for both, and I don't think one is better than the other. It just all depends on the preferences and styles and stuff like that.
Yep, totally agree. I know for me, like I'm kind of like you with the YouTube comments. I get triggered relatively easy by comments, and but not triggered in like like a real way, like I want to go and just like break something. Just triggered in the sense that I read it and I crack up and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know. So I don't know, pretty much any comment that comes off as just ignorant to me just really gets me going. But let's see. So we got another comment here. Why is there so little quality content about film photography on YouTube?
I think right now, actually, there's tons of quality content on YouTube about film. But my thing with it is that it's very one-dimensional. Like there's only like one style of film photography that I'm seeing on YouTube right now, which is like the it's that I don't know if you ever watch stuff about film photography on YouTube.
Yeah, I do.
You do? Okay, so you probably know what I'm talking about. It's like, people like to take pictures of like not even landscapes, like abandoned places and that kind of style. like very simple, very, very grunge, like film stuff. And I
Right.
see that all the time, but I don't see much of anything else on like film. So I try to actually, funny thing, like, I don't know if you can see, I have some rolls
Hmm.
drying in the background. So my new video is going to be on how I develop color film. And I just had like a few rolls laying around that I forgot about. So I developed them yesterday, and that's going to be my new video. So I'm going to try to make more content on film. It's just something that I don't do like all the time. And it's something that I noticed doesn't even do that well on YouTube right now. I hope that it's going to pick up. But yeah, there's lots of really, really great channels that solely focus on film photography right now. So I think this is a great time to like find a lot of quality content on YouTube of film.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think really the big reason why people don't make this type of content is that it's a pain in the butt to make, a video about shooting film. I mean,
Mm,
think about it. Like if I do a photo shoot on digital right now, I could probably do the photo shoot, create the video, edit the photos, or at least color correct them, and then post up the video
mm,
like that same night. Versus if I'm shooting film, there's this whole process that I have to go through, and then I got to digitize these photos, scan
right.
them. It's just like it's a lot of work. And then it goes up on YouTube, and then you get, a third of the views that you might not, normally get on a regular video. So,
Mhm.
I think for those people out there that want to see that type of content, the big thing is that you have to support the content creators that are making this content, because if they don't get the views on it, then they're not going to make it.
Mhm.
So, maybe some will, but the majority of people, they're going to maybe do 2 or 3 videos and be like, man, I did all this work and I got 100 views. No, thank you.
Yeah, I wish it was a little bit more popular, and it is definitely getting more popular. But yeah, like you said, it just doesn't get that many views. But I'm gonna try to make some cool stuff. I have a few other ideas, like video ideas about film that I really want to do. I'm just waiting till this whole lockdown thing is, finished, so I can finally go outside and take pictures with like real people, not just of myself or like of my dog. So yeah.
Nice. So he's got a follow-up question too. Why are so many channels in photography or about photography focusing on gear and Lightroom presets and not the creative process and finding your style?
These controversial questions.
I know
Uh,
we're getting right into it.
it's I think just a lot of people in general that do photography are really interested in technical parts of it. Like,
Mhm.
and plus the people that are interested in technical stuff, they love to make videos, right? Because it's technical as well. So I feel like the creative people that do photography, they just want to create like pictures, and they don't care that much about like making videos or even sharing it on Instagram and stuff. They just like go out and do stuff. I don't know, like the people that are like really, really into just the whole creative process, right?
Right.
For me, like I said, I'm just really obsessed with YouTube. Like if I wasn't watching YouTube, I don't think I would ever make my YouTube channel. Yeah. What do you think?
I, I mean,
Hard question.
I think a lot of photographers, as far as the gear question, they're gear junkies by nature. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
would say the majority of photographers are
Yeah.
very like gear driven. They want to know like what's that next thing that they can buy that's going to like make a type of image that they're not currently shooting. And then, the Lightroom presets thing, I don't know. I feel like people think there's some kind of like, simple button that they could push that will
Mm-hmm.
make their photos look like Irene Rudnyk's photos. And so they're searching after that versus doing the hard work of trying to understand what good photography is about. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about like one click on a Lightroom preset. It's about what they talked about, the creative process, finding your style, how your equipment works. Um, yeah, I mean, I see it far too often, and I think really, as a follow up to that, that's what pays money.
Mm. And it's easier to turn out those videos as well. Like
Sure.
sitting down and doing a review on something is a lot easier. Like you said, you can film it in one day, edit in one day, and post it. Whereas like a video that I do, I have to like come up with an idea for photo shoot. I have to style it. I have to find the location, the model. I have to then go ahead and shoot it, edit it, and then like make it into a nice video and all this stuff. So it can take like weeks to make a video, like realistically, right? So
Yep.
those are just easier to make, and that's why a lot of people do them. And it's something that people are looking for as well. As soon as something new pops out, you want to see a review of it, right? So
yeah, for sure. Nowadays, it's like as soon as the product is announced, there's already like 10 videos about it.
yeah.
It's crazy. So let's see. We got another question here. Both of you have so good/strong portfolio. Are you retouching photos all by yourself, or at this stage as a pro, are you cooperating with other retouchers?
I do all of my editing myself. I can't trust anyone with my retouching. I'm like a little bit of a control freak, and
It's a cancer thing, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It totally is. I just, it's even like I'll tell my husband to do something, and then I see him doing it, and then just mid him doing it, I'll be like, I'll just do it myself.
Oh, you're one of those. We love you.
So,
we love you anyway.
so yeah, I love, and plus I really love doing editing. It's very like soothing almost, and I love the whole process of seeing the image like from the start and then how it transforms into like what I envisioned it to be. I love retouching skin. It's just something like, it's like, I don't know if, have you ever seen these like satisfying videos where people just like make little like perfect lines, or
yes,
so
super
like
OCD.
that's literally, for me, that's how I feel in Photoshop, because you are making these like perfect things in Photoshop. I don't know, like removing all the things that you don't want. It just something satisfying about it, and I really love it.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. I mean, there is something very satisfying about retouching your own photographs and kind of putting your own imprint on those photos. I also like to have my own personal time too. And so, so there is a percentage of photos that I retouch, and then there's a percentage of photos that, that I'll outsource and send it over to a retoucher. And, usually what I end up doing is I give them instructions. So I'll tell them like, this is where I want to go with the photograph. Typically, I end up doing the color corrections and stuff like that afterwards myself. But, for things like skin retouching and things like that, that might take me, an hour or two on a beauty photograph. I just send it out, comes back, take maybe 10 minutes to add my color and do that kind of stuff. And then it's ready to go. But, for me, from a professional standpoint, I would say that, as a professional photographer, you get paid to shoot images. And so you're not getting paid specifically unless you're charging some, extra fee or something. You're not being charged to retouch. So I would rather, work with as many clients as I possibly can, send the stuff out for retouching. And then when it comes back in, spend a few minutes to just color correct. Oftentimes when it comes back from the retoucher, you still have to do retouching on top of it anyway. Yeah. It's just, you don't have to do as much as, what you might normally have to do. So that's just my take, but I know everybody, like I used to be just like you. Like I would not send my photos out to anybody. I love the process. And what would happen is I'd have, as time went on, I did like 3 or 4 photo shoots in a week.
Too many pictures.
Yeah. And it's just like, I'm at the studio all day. I get home, I eat, and then I'm up until like 2 or 3 in the morning, just sitting in front of a computer with a few shots of whiskey.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Like it all depends on how much work you do and how many pictures you have to edit. Because like, again, for me personally, like I'll do like 1 photo shoot a week. And I'm very, very selective about my pictures. So I'll have maybe like maximum like 8 pictures from the photo shoot. Usually it's around like 5 to 6 pictures, right? So I have plenty of time to edit them, but I totally get what you're saying, because when I was doing weddings, I was about to like hire someone to retouch the pictures for me for the weddings, because it was just like, it's
overwhelming.
Yeah.
Especially for a wedding. I mean, do you remember how many photos you were delivering for a wedding?
Way too many.
Way too many. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I did the whole wedding thing with so many mistakes because it was at the very start, not at the very, very start of me doing photography as a business, but kind of. And so there were so many things that I didn't know and so many things that I learned doing it. But I think I was delivering around like 1,000 pictures, and
Wow.
I would make sure that all of images go through Lightroom, at least for like color correction, and then I would deliver like maybe 100 pictures that were like professionally retouched with like skin and everything. And I don't know,
Wow.
I was crazy. I was like insane, pretty much.
Man, you're a warrior. That's
I
that's
just,
a lot.
again, I at that time, I didn't even know what is the standard. And I
Right,
was
right.
just going off of what I thought, I could deliver, right? Because I had this many pictures that were good. So I thought, well, I'll give them to the couple so that they like it, right? But
Yeah.
many mistakes I've done in that time.
Sounds like a video.
Oh,
It's a good video topic right there. So we got another question. Want to take this opportunity of having two pros in the same space to get insight. Just got a Canon Rebel T7i mid last year with the 18 to 55 kit lens. What gear should I get, and in what order?
I would say ditch the kit lens and get a better lens. Like the camera itself to me is not super important, but lenses are very, very important. That's where you mostly will get the look that you're looking for. It all depends on your budget as well, right? So if you want to stay cheap and get a prime, like you can go with something very simple like a Nifty 50. That was my first like prime lens that I bought, was a Canon 50mm 1.8. So if you don't have, if your budget is limited, you can always go for that. And a 50 is a great range. Like it's a versatile lens that I always recommend to all of the newbies, like to start out with the 50. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That 50 1.8, I call it the Cracker Jack box lens because it's like super cheap and very plastic.
Oh,
But
so plastic, yeah.
it's the plastic fantastic, but it does take really good photos.
Mhm.
The 85 1.8 would probably be the next one that I would look at. So I would say go with like the 50 and the 85 1.8. And being an off-camera flash guy, I would tell you, invest in some sort of a flash. Understanding how to operate in natural light is really important, especially in the very beginning. I mean, I would spend the first year just trying to do as much as you possibly can with available light during the day, evening, harsh light. Try to challenge yourself to take photos in different scenarios and different situations, and then graduate. Well, expand your skills with off-camera flash, and now you could figure out, okay, well, to where maybe at a certain time of day I couldn't do this, but now with a flash maybe you can. So that would probably be what I would recommend as far as gear. It's really less about the equipment. If you have like even one decent lens, like that 51.8 that you were talking about, you can go out there and just create some really beautiful stuff.
But yeah, like gear, when people ask me like, what should I get? I'm just a starting photographer, and I'm like, you giving me like zero information, because
Right.
it depends so much on so many things, like your
Sure.
budget, your style, what are you shooting, like when are you shooting, where, like all of these things, right? So like, yeah, do your
I
own
agree.
research, right? Like all of this info is online as well, right? So there's so many great how I chose my lens. It was actually pretty funny.
Oh boy.
So I don't know if you like when 500px was still
Oh yeah. When
like
it was.
very popular. I was on there like all the time, and I would look at all of these beautiful pictures of these Russian photographers.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
and that was like what I wanted to do. I feel like that really shaped like also my photography.
Yeah, I can still see it now. Like your style very much is in that same style.
Well, I'm Ukrainian, so like I have the
Ah.
like I like the aesthetic that like Eastern European aesthetic that a lot of people have, right? But I noticed that pretty much literally all of them were shooting with the 85 1.2. So I was like, okay, well, all of them are shooting with this lens. It must be really good. So that's why that was like the lens that I bought really, really early on. I've had that lens for years. and it's a Mark 1, so it's a version 1, and
Ooh.
I bought it used. It has like tons of dust inside, but
Yeah.
it works really, really well.
Man, I got the 85 1.2 Mark II back in the day when I used to shoot Canon.
Mhm.
And oh my goodness, was that not the slowest focusing
Oh,
lens
it's
of
super.
all time?
Well, you have Mark 2 and I have Mark 1.
I know. I can't
Like
even imagine. It's just
it's
like you
even
go make a
slower.
coffee, you come back, it's still, hunting. Oh man.
But you know what? I've mastered this lens. I honestly, people always ask me, they're like, how do you get sharp images at 1.2? Like, how do you do it? And like, I feel like just using it for so many years, I just know how to use this lens properly and
Right.
how to how to hold it properly and all of these things. So I never have problems with it, but you're right. It is very, very slow. I just recently got the new RF. And so I'm excited.
How are you enjoying that one versus the original?
Um, it's so I'm still not like, I can't tell you right now because I haven't shot it with an actual model. I've only
Oh,
tried it on
gotcha.
like as a self-portrait, and I can't say much because I'm using an app to focus it and to like use it, you know. Obviously it's beautiful, the quality is amazing and all of this stuff. Like it's super fast, super sharp, like you can shoot 1.2 like no problem. But again, I need to do a nice test, and I will do that. A video will be coming where I do like versus the old versus new and see if it's worth upgrading and stuff like that.
Very cool. Very cool. So we got another question here. So Irene, I've seen the video of the portraits of your sister and love that you use both film and digital. What artists or photographers inspire you?
Oh my goodness. There's so many people that inspire me. And yeah, I love shooting both digital and film at the same time. I've never shot just film because I feel like I'm too scared to do it. Funny story. Recently, I developed a roll of black and white film, and it came out completely like nothing on the roll
Oh, no.
because I realized that all of my chemicals are expired. All of my black and white film stuff is like expired, and I didn't realize it. So my developer is like more than a year expired because I haven't shot black and white film in so long. And yeah, so
Epic fail.
yeah, that was not fun. But this is
uh,
why I don't shoot just film. I'll shoot digital, and then alongside I'll shoot some film. Yeah, I love film, but there's a lot of errors that can happen there, so I always need the security of digital. um who inspire me? There's so many people. Oh my goodness, actually a lot of people that inspire me I like are people that have very different style than me.
yeah,
I
same
love,
here.
yeah, I love looking at people that do something very, very different. And I'm always like, God damn it, how did they come up with this? Like, photographer Alessio Albi is like freaking
Hmm.
amazing. I just die every time I see like, and his FaceTime photo shoots. How are they even like normal? How is that even? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get it either. My brain fizzles.
There's this is the girl that we talked actually that someone was in the last stream that you were doing with Anita. Someone was talking about her, Agata Serge. Not sure
Yes.
how to say her name. I love her stuff that she does with freckles. One of my very early inspirations was Emily Soto.
I
She
was going to say, I was going to guess that when you said that you do film and digital, I'm like, that's what Emily Soto does.
I love her work, and especially her like early work, because now his style has changed so much. She does a lot more film now. I would say she mostly shoots film now, and her style is a lot like very, very different now, which I still really like as well. I love what she does right now as well. But her very early stuff, like the very fantasy, like romantic, feminine pictures, what like it would inspire me so much. I really love her work. Not used to. I still love her
Yes.
work.
Still pretty good.
What about you, Miguel?
Well, so let me see, let me read this. So as far as like the artists or the photographers that inspire me, as far as artists go, like I'm very inspired by like things that don't have anything to do with photography.
Mm,
Like I look at cinematography, look at movies, I look at anime randomly enough. Like I watch anime, and I think to myself, like, how awesome would this be as a photo shoot?
What anime do you watch?
Well, Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
And I watched Naruto, Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia,
Nice.
Baki. Yeah, I pretty much watch it all. You watch anime?
I had an anime phase when I watched anime a lot. Like my favorite is Death Note.
Yes, Death Note is excellent.
I like very creepy, like dark kind of anime.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's definitely up there. It's a really good one. So we got another question here. Tina Varpin, how long are your photo shoots usually? Do you have a contract with your models?
I normally don't do a contract with my models just because I never needed to use it, but I know that I probably should. And I mean, it all depends on how you're using the images, right? So me personally, I don't sell any of my images. I don't do anything that would require a contract from a model. And here in Canada, I don't know, the laws are a little bit different where the photographer pretty much owns the majority of the rights to the image. So essentially, you don't really need a contract, except for if you want to sell the images for some kind of licensing. And if I do decide to sell a particular image for, again, some kind of licensing, then of course I would reach out to the model and ask her to then, sign the contracts, things like that. So yeah, normally I've never really had to, but I think it's up to you and what you do to decide if you need a contract or not. How long the photo shoot is, I would say, I mean, it all depends. Sometimes I have really long photo shoots that can last like few hours, but normally once we get to a location, about an hour and a half to 2 hours that I do a photo shoot. But then you have to also, I guess, incorporate the things like makeup and hair and getting dressed and getting to a location. So like sometimes photo shoots can take up like the whole day.
Very true. I think for me, like I would say I average anywhere from like 3 to 4 hours for a photo shoot. But for a lot of what I do, I'm in the studio, so you have time to apply makeup, do hair. If I took it down to like just the time that I'm actually sitting there taking pictures, it's probably like an hour, but then there's like 3 hours worth of just talking and, how's the weather and how's life? And, I think maybe that's for me, how I get some of the shots that I get is just that time that I'm spending just talking to the person and trying to get to know who they are and what makes them tick and what they like and don't like. And, that way when they're in front of my camera that I can make the most out of that time and that opportunity. And then as far as the contract with models, I'm going to tell you a story of why you should have it regardless of whether or not you have the copyright, because you do as a photographer, even in the US. I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, but whoever took the photo owns the copyright of that photo, right? However, so I had a person that I photographed. They needed headshots because they're actors and they're an actor and they wanted to, use it to go to castings and things of that nature. So we basically did a trade and we did the headshots, right? So fast forward, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, I get a message from this person and they're like, hey, I'm really excited. I want to share this with you. I got hired to be a spokesperson for this big travel company. So think like Orbitz or Expedia, like a company like that, where they, give you deals on travel. So he sends me a link to this website and it's like, we'll say it's Orbitz, but it's not, like orbitz.com/TV. Right. So when I click on it, my photo that I took of him is the shot that they're using on their website. Yeah. So I'm looking at it and I'm like thinking to myself, how can such a big company, like they know, and it's not Orbitz, it's another company, but I'm like, how do they not know better than to take this photo and use it to market? They don't care. They don't care. And so I told them, I was like, listen, first, congratulations. That's really awesome. Like I'm glad that you were able to get this. However, they can't use my photo.
Yeah, that's crazy that the actor just felt like this is okay.
Yeah,
that is pretty crazy. Did it get taken down?
It got taken down.
They paid
No. So here's the funny thing. So I told him, I was like, listen, because he goes, oh, well, I paid you for the photos.
Mm,
And I was like, yeah, you paid me for the photos so that you can
mm,
use them to market yourself.
mm,
But that doesn't mean that it goes to a company and then they can use it to market their stuff. Like that's where the break in this whole thing ends. But so I was like, listen, you got few options. Option number one is if they want to use the images, they can license them and I'll be happy to give them a fee. Option number two, they just take it down, period. Option number three, they take it down and they hire me to do an actual photo shoot. And we'll do like a whole set of images in whatever style it is that they want to do. So they went for option D, which was to basically hire somebody else to shoot the
mm,
same
mm,
exact style and the
yeah,
same look of image. And it
of
did
course,
not look as good.
of course. Oh, I'm 100% like, oh, people are using my pictures probably right now for something like
Probably. It's like on
um,
a billboard somewhere.
somewhere in India.
Jeez.
Is I always find my pictures in random places everywhere. So I just personally like stopped kind of like even trying to, but of course like with what happened with you is just, but do you think a contract would have not have this situation happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been a lot easier for me to basically just, send a copy of the contract to the company and be like, "Hey, by the way,
Right,
you know,
that.
I guess it's a little bit less for the two parties involved, and it's for anyone else that tries to do something stupid." So,
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? I'll tell you this, that like there's always going to be people that, like you said, that are stupid like this and
yep,
don't understand the value of your time or your work, and they don't understand how licensing works and things
right,
like that, which like you would think is common knowledge, but I guess not really, right? So
yeah,
people do this kind of stuff all the time, and yeah, I would get really, really angry at people like taking my work and using it for something. But like it happens so much nowadays that I don't even have the time to like deal with that.
yeah, yeah. It becomes almost like a full-time
But
job
you
in
are
and of
correct.
itself.
Like if the contract doesn't take that long, and there's like so many apps nowadays where it's all done, and pretty much all they have to do is like give the model the phone and she just signs it on the phone and it's done, right? So like
Right.
it is very easy, and if if you feel like you should do it, like then you should.
Yeah, and I also had another time where I did a photo shoot with somebody, and we did a video.
Mm-hmm.
And we finished the photo shoot. Everything was cool. And then after it was all said and done, a third party came in that manages this person and says, "Hey, by the way, you can't post the video and you can't post the images."
Yeah.
And that was really annoying. So, sometimes it's good to just
I've
have.
had stuff like that happen. Like early on in my career, I had a couple that wanted to do some pictures as a trade, like engagement pictures.
Right.
And so I did those pictures for free for them. And instead, I told them that I will be using those images to advertise my services as a like wedding photographer,
Sure.
engagement photographer, whatever, right? And the pictures turned out really, really nice. I really, really loved them. I put them up like all over my social media. And then the couple breaks up, the typical stuff,
Oh,
and they
man.
want it
Yeah.
all like gone, right? So
That's not your problem. They should have kept it together.
they were about
Jeez.
to get married too. Like this was a real engagement photo shoot. So,
Oh.
you know, things happen. Things always happen. So like, yeah.
Mm. That's the way life goes. So before we get into this next question, I want to invite you guys, if you're watching the
No one
live stream right now.
that I said that my pictures are in India. I only said okay, first of all, I want to say this, that I love India. Like whenever people ask
Yes.
what is the country you want to visit, I always say India. Like I'm not even like, it's not a joke or anything. I love the culture. I love the food. I love everything. So and I have a huge following from India. I think something like 10% of my viewers are from India. So I only said India, meaning as like, a lot of Asian countries do that. A lot of like Eastern European countries do that as well. Like in Ukraine, Russia, all of that. Like
Hmm.
uh it's just because easier to take a picture and use it in a country that that person doesn't know that something's going to be used. Sorry, not to try and target it, okay?
It's all good. It's all good. So, for you guys that are watching, if you're enjoying the content, leave a thumbs up on the video, please. Because it helps us out. So, next question. I wanted to ask you both, how do you find and book models for TFP shoots? Any tips, do's and don'ts? Thank you.
How to ask? You just ask.
Hey, can I take a picture?
Yeah, it's really as simple as that. I just feel like a lot of people get very intimidated and they don't want to be rejected. Like, that fear of rejection, that someone's just like going to leave you on red and is not going to reply to you, or they're going to be like, no, I don't want to shoot with you. But like in reality, that happens very, very rarely. Like if someone just ignores you, then whatever, it never was meant to be. So I always just, if I like a model, I see her work, I find her Instagram, I send her a DM and be like, hey, I'm Irene, I'm a photographer, I really love your look, would love to do a photo shoot with you. Like I usually just say a collaboration.
Right.
If you are interested, just let me know. And that's it, simple as that. And there have been so many cases where I was like, there's no way they're going to reply, because they have like a huge following, or I don't feel like maybe they won't like my style or something, but I try anyways, because you never know until you're going to try. And like, what's the worst that can happen? They'll just say no, like in DMs. Like it's not like someone's going to come in and slap you in the face,
Mm-hmm.
So so many times that I thought, no way she's going to reply, or no way she's going to want to shoot with me. And then turns out that they do like my work and they do want to shoot with me. So it's just as easy as just literally asking.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's just a matter of just messaging them and doing the whole introductory thing. This is who I am. This is what I would like to do. As far as don'ts, don't go and message them talking about how hot they are. And, like that's the thing that kills me. Like I see people's messages, because models will share these things on social media and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so hot, I want to take your pictures.
Think about it, because I normally don't do that. That is so true. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So you want to make sure you're not creepy about it. That's probably the number one. That's a pro tip right there. Don't be creepy. And you might actually get people that say, sure.
And also, I guess, because I've seen that as well, or like even just the emails that I get with people like, oh my God, I get a lot of emails of people asking if they want to be my assistant, or if they want to help me in some way, or like, all of these things. And then I'll go to their page and it has no info or no pictures or no nothing. So if you're trying to like DM a model and your page has like no work on it, or not enough work, or not enough quality work, then, you shouldn't expect something in return. But yeah, just make sure that your Instagram, if you are DMing someone on Instagram, is actually represents your work, and you have a lot of your work on there so that they can see.
Yeah, totally. If you're messaging somebody and you have your profile as private, that's probably my biggest pet peeve. Like even as a photographer, I'll get models that message me and they have this long spiel about how they love my work and this and this and this. And then I'm like, okay, let me click on their profile. And then I click on it and it says it's private. Like you have to have public work for people to be able to see and to figure out if they want to work with you. You can't be shy about it. Like they're going to figure it out if they do work with you. Like
exactly.
What your style is.
And if you really want to keep your profile private, I guess then you have to send in some of your work with the message, right? Like,
right.
A person can see. But yeah, you're so right. It happened to me many times, and I just like ignore pretty much straight away, because I'm like, I don't have the time to like follow you, wait for you to approve it, and then I look at it like it
doesn't make sense. So this should be a fun question. Because I know you're a Canon shooter, I'm a Sony shooter, but this person's a Nikon user looking to upgrade to full frame, but I don't know if I should switch brands or not.
Oh my God, on switching brands, I would just say, honestly, like the thing that I've learned is, if you really want to switch brands, you have to be like 100% ready for it, because you will have to switch out all of your equipment. Like I thought that I could shoot on like a Sony body with Canon lenses, and to
Mhm.
be honest, that was like a nightmare. It was not working at all. Like one lesson I learned, use the body and the native lens. If you
Right.
want to get the most out of your equipment, just use the native stuff. So if you are a Nikon user and you have tons of Nikon equipment, and I mean, it's not just the lenses, it's like flashes and triggers and cords and
Mhm.
batteries and chargers and all of this stuff, right? So like switching a brand is not that easy. So you have to really, really think hard about it before you switch brands, right? And it depends. What are you thinking? What do you need in upgrading that Nikon doesn't have? Like they have some nice new mirrorless cameras. Yeah, so it really depends on what you're looking for, and you have to really think about it if it's worth for you to switch brands. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that it's less about the idea of switching brands, and it's trying to figure out like what is it that you
That you're
can't
lacking.
do. Yeah, what is it that you're lacking? And chances are most of the time it's not like a technical thing that you're lacking. It's usually like a knowledge thing, right? It's like a skill thing because pretty much any camera. I mean, even though you shoot Canon, you've shot Sony. I'm sure if I gave you a Pentax or I gave you
Oh, yeah.
Hasselblad or whatever, like you could still do what you do.
Oh, 100%. Like I went from like, shooting just Canon for many years. And then at one period, I was just trying out all of these different brands because I was like, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's something I don't know. Like I really want to experiment. And so I shot Fuji, I shot Olympus, and I shot Sony. And like, I loved all of them. Like, honestly, I liked all of the brands, and each brand is unique in some way. And each brand has its pros and cons. So it's really up to you to like decide which one is, suits better for you. But yeah, you can create great work with any brand and any camera and any lens, with film or digital, whatever it is. But it is a very personal thing because I felt like when I went back to like shooting Canon, I just felt like, oh, like, like, it's like, okay, this is like what I've been doing and this just feels like me. And then shooting with other cameras was very exciting and new and different. But like, I don't know, there's just something about like just having the stuff that you used to, So yeah, if you are thinking of upgrading or changing, it really depends on what you're lacking and what do you need to upgrade and things like that.
Yeah, totally agree. Completely agree. I'm just going through the comments here. Um, Pro tip, don't be creepy. Yeah. It sucks that it even needs to be said, but it happens all the time. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of people out there that don't have good social skills, and yeah. Let's see. I live in a city with almost no photography business, not even many weddings available. How to approach a modeling agency or press agency to try and do editorials or model test shots?
I'm probably not the best to like ask these kind of things because I'm not like a fashion photographer. I don't do a lot of tests. I do work with few agencies here in my city. And the way it started was again with me just sending an email to an agency. It's very easy. Like you go to their website and you'll find the contact tab, and you send them a nicely crafted email where you're very polite. You talk about yourself, that you're a photographer, that you're local, that you're looking to work with models. You have to let them know that you're willing to work with new faces, with girls that are maybe don't have any experience, because those were the models that they will give you. The agencies don't really want to give you their most popular, most wanted models to work with, but they have a lot of new faces coming in that have zero portfolio, and so they're willing to have these tests with these girls. So just let them know that you're willing to work with girls that have, or boys, whatever, that have zero experience, that are new faces. Send them a nice list of, not list, send them just a nice file of images that you're most proud of. And some of the images that agencies look for is like more simple stuff. They don't want to see stuff that's like avant-garde with lots of makeup and stuff like that. You want to send them some stuff that is like more simple, kind of the stuff that they will like. Yeah, that's probably my only tip. Like, again, I'm not super experienced with working with agencies. That was probably a good question for Anita, because she's the one that works with agencies
Mhm.
all the time. And probably you, Miguel, right? Do you work with agencies a lot?
Yeah, well, now I'm in Orlando, so now it's a different story. But when I was in New Jersey, I worked with a lot of agencies in New York. And to be honest with you, I had a very kind of backdoor way of doing it. What I ended up doing was I started following a lot of the Instagram accounts from different agencies in New York. And they would typically post a photo of a model on Instagram and they tag the model.
Probably pissed off the agencies.
No, 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 no. Actually, it was funny how it worked out. So what I
Okay.
did was I would reach out to the models. I would DM
Mm.
them directly and say, "Hey, I love your work. I would love the opportunity to work with you. I've got these concepts, blah 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 blah." And then I would work with them, and I would work with maybe two or three. And then what would happen is like a week or so later, I'd hit up the agency and be like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize I've already worked with a bunch of your models. I would
That's
love the
hilarious.
opportunity to photograph these people on your board." And I would be very specific about the people that I want to work with. And 9 times out of 10, because I've already worked with some of their people, and hopefully they had a good experience in working with me, so that when the agent goes to the models and says, "Hey, how was it working with Miguel?" And they're like, "Oh my gosh, he was great." Makes it
Yeah.
super easy to get them.
You see, I think it depends on the agency, because
Hmm.
I've almost got in trouble a few times for doing exactly that, because a lot of agencies don't want their models to like have photographers contact them at all. Like,
Right.
I've had some girls, like, let's say sometimes I don't even know that they're in the agencies. Like, I randomly just found them. And so I DM them, and then they'll be like, "Hey, sorry, but like you have to message my agency first because they don't
Hmm.
let us talk to photographers," right? So, and I remember one time I did a photo shoot with the model, and she did not tell me that I need to get permission from the agent. So we just went on with the photo shoot. We did it, and then I got an angry email from the agency telling me that, like, you're shooting with our models without permissions, and they pretty much just gave me like, "Next time, ask us first." So like I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't know, the model didn't tell me. Like, you should scold your model, not me.
Yep.
But yeah, you can, some agencies are very like strict with their rules, some agencies are very lax, so it really depends on the agency.
Yeah. I also think too, like, I would be surprised if an agency or an agent would say that to you when they see the
Oh,
work
they
that you're getting.
did. But
That's
you
so
you know what?
crazy.
But the thing is that my work is not what agencies like.
Yeah. No, you're right.
My
You're right.
work
It's a
is,
different style.
yes, my work, and I totally get it, and I don't get offended when, because I've gotten this before as well, where I would ask a model or an agency to supply a specific model, and they would be like, she didn't like your work, or it didn't work for her. She didn't want the it didn't fit for her portfolio, and I totally
Right.
get it, because the thing is that a model that gives you free time, she wants to make sure that those images then will be able to be used in some way, right? Either on her Instagram or whatever it is, right? So some models are just not into this style, and it's totally fine with me. Like, I don't get offended at all, because I totally get it. Like, if they are a fashion model that only does like certain editorial stuff, like she probably doesn't want like a fairy tale feminine image, or like
Right.
it doesn't fit for her Instagram feed, why would she do it? Or she doesn't care, to work with me. Like, yeah, it's just a normal thing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I've actually noticed a lot of agencies lately that all of that is the case until they see your social media and they see your
Mhm.
following, and then they say, so I can basically get this like new face in front of hundreds of thousands of people if
Mm.
you photograph them. So they almost don't even care about what the photos end up looking like. They just want to be able to, you know, have that exposure for that model.
Sure, that can also be a thing. But again, it really depends, because some agencies, some models don't need more exposure,
Right.
or don't care for it. So it all depends, and I'm only for collaborations that like benefit both sides, right? So, but thankfully there's plenty of models that do like my style and that
Yep.
do want to work with me. So I'm never like out of models.
So let me ask you this. We're kind of on the topic of styles. Like after looking at your work over the last few years, I feel like you've had a pretty, consistent style.
Mhm.
Being that we've gone through this whole like quarantine thing for the last, month, maybe 2 months, have you thought to yourself to possibly break out of your style and try something different? Or are you thinking of kind of like continuing to double down on that style that you've been doing?
I always try out something new.
Hmm.
And like I said, I follow so many people that do like different type of photography. So it always makes me want to try it out. But I always come back to what I do best and what just feels right. I never, to be honest, I don't even try to think of like, oh, I need to keep this in this specific style. I just kind of do what I like. And it just kind of works out this way. But yeah, I always try out new things. Like I had a moment where I was just shooting indoors and I was trying out all of these different lighting setups. I was playing with like gobos and I was playing with like reflections and all of these different things. And yeah, in the end, I just kind of come back to what I always do.
So another question I had for you too, do you think that it's important for photographers to be on Instagram or to be on YouTube?
On Instagram for sure. YouTube is a completely different thing. YouTube is, oh my God, it's like if you want to be successful on YouTube, you really have to put a lot of work into it and a lot of time into it. It's not as easy as just posting, a picture on Instagram, because you have to come up with original ideas. Then you have to film it, then you have to edit it, you have to upload it, you have to figure out what titles work, what hashtags to use, what's the best time of the day to post, and like all of these things. It's just a lot of dedication and work goes into YouTube. So I would only suggest for people to start YouTube if they're really, really into it. Like if they like making videos, if they like YouTube, if they like, constantly making content. But with Instagram, every photographer should have Instagram 100%. Like, why would you not? Why would you want to skip on having an audience, of reaching a bigger audience? And it's really not that hard to do Instagram. Like, of course, there's a lot of work that goes into it as well. Same thing as with YouTube, what I would say, like knowing what time of the day is best to post, keeping your grid consistent, and like making sure that everything is quality and captions, all of this stuff, right? But yeah, everyone should do it for sure.
Yeah,
Even if
totally.
they're older and if they say that like they hate social media and they don't know how to use it, like just learn how to use it. It's not that hard. Like everyone can do it.
Yeah, it's like post a picture, write some cool stuff about it, and and call it a day.
Like without Instagram, like I remember like my career really took off because of Instagram, because
Hmm.
I could reach a lot more people. And whenever you have a following, whenever you like it or not, that's just how people work. When they see that you have a bigger following, they wanna hire you more, right? It is what it is. So it will definitely help you in your career and with making money, with making your business and all of this stuff. So for sure.
Pretty cool. So I'm going to take this one last question here because we're a few minutes over the 4 o'clock hour. Do you still have some time?
Oh yeah. No
Good.
worries.
Okay. All right. So Catherine was asking, I started in natural light and started using off-camera flash last year with natural light. How do you maybe use a regular light diffuser to feather light for a smoother transition when shooting, say, like golden hour?
How do you? I mean, when I shoot natural light, I'm not using anything else except for my camera. I don't even use reflectors. I don't use any diffusers. I don't use any of this stuff. Actually, funny thing, so like this was a very long time ago when I did this collaboration with Jason Lanier. He was trying to show me all of these different things of like how you can diffuse the light. So he took me to a spot where there was very, very harsh lights, and he brought this huge diffuser and put it in that spot. And I was like, but what's the point of going to this location that has really horrible light and then try to mask it with something? Like, I just don't get it. So what I normally do is I just look for good light that doesn't need any feathering, that doesn't need any diffusing, that doesn't need any of these things to make it better. I just look for very good light instead of looking for like bad light and trying to correct it. Oh, did we just lose Miguel? um I'm not sure what's happening. Oh, it says Miguel is frozen. Maybe Miguel lost his connection. Can you guys still hear me? I'm just gonna take over this channel. So yeah, that was my question. That was my answer to it. I personally only use flash and strobes and LEDs when I'm shooting indoors, and when I'm shooting outside, I just love beautiful natural light. That's it. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm still going. Okay, people are saying yes. Oh, Miguel says lost me. Am I still live, Miguel? Okay, well, Miguel, okay, I'm just gonna wait for Miguel to come back and finish the show. But if you guys have any other questions for me, I can still see the chat, so I can answer them. Any Insta tips? Mine doesn't grow at all. To be honest, Instagram has changed a lot nowadays because it was bought by Facebook. Oh, you're back.
I'm back.
I was already just having my own show here.
I know. I saw that. That was awesome.
But yeah, what do you? I don't know if you heard my answer at all, because I'm curious to see okay. I just said that whenever I'm outside, I never look for like light that can be corrected with flash. You know what I mean? So like,
right.
Because I've seen it a lot with people like going into harsh light and then overpowering that light with the flash.
Right.
But I personally, I look for really good light that's already there, that does not need any correcting whatsoever. So like, I'm not about like just like trying to correct something. I'm just looking for the best possible light. I love using, lights in the studio. There's nothing else I can use in the studio.
Yeah.
Like strobes, flashes, LEDs, all of that. It's really fun. And it's fun to create some cool effects, like when I used it, in the snow to light up the snow behind the model. But when I'm outside and I have this beautiful golden hour, I'm just like, I don't need anything else. Like, that's it. That's all I need right now.
So are you looking, actually, to go with this question, are you doing like the majority of your photo shoots during golden hour?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on the weather. Sometimes if it's cloudy, you won't get any golden hour and you can shoot pretty much any time of the day. But I always shoot in the evening. Yeah, I mean, a nice sunset is just like, I love it. I'm more of like, I prefer the sunset and the sunny weather over cloudy and overcast and diffused. So yeah, I would say I pretty much always shoot a few hours before sunset. Yeah.
And when you say good light on the person, you're looking to put that person in like the best possible light. Mm-hmm. So what does Irene Rudnyk see on a person that would classify the light as good light? Like, what are the telltale signs that you look for when you're putting a person in whatever kind of light? What makes it go from just being regular whatever light to being like that Irene Rudnyk signature, like golden, beautiful light?
It's very, very simple. Like, I always, whenever I do workshops, I'm like, listen, guys, this is what I do pretty much every time. If I do have a beautiful sunset, I will always first do backlit shots. Okay. Mm-hmm. I always also look for natural reflectors. This is something that I was doing like a little live workshop not that long ago, and I have a whole section on this, but I always look for natural reflectors. So anything that will reflect that backlit light back onto the model. So stuff like gravel road, pavement, wood, rocks, water, snow, like the list goes on. You can find these natural reflectors everywhere. So I will look for a spot that reflects the natural light back onto the model really well, but also lets her from the behind. So not only it will separate her from the background with that beautiful golden light, but it will light up the scene as well. I'm a huge, so like you do portraits, right? But
Mhm.
I would say that I do like portraits that are, but I also really, really take a lot of time into figuring out the outside and how the
Right.
light falls outside and how the scene and the nature complements the model. So I don't even think too much of like what's the the light is going to look like on the model. I really most of the time look at the scene first,
Mhm.
because a backlit shot will just have even light. You won't get any shadows or anything like that because the sun is literally just behind her. The light source is behind. But the big tip is to look for those natural reflectors that will have the light reflecting back onto her. That's how I don't use a reflector on the location. That's how I'm able to shoot like backlit natural light with just my camera and nothing else.
And then are you underexposing the shots? Are you overexposing, or are you getting it where the camera says it's right?
I would say that I will underexpose just a tiny bit most of the time. Just enough that the background is not blown out, right? Like I would usually expose, but also if the background is a tiny bit blown out, I don't find it bad. Like I love a bright, sunny background and then a nicely lit model as well. So I would say most of the time I try to expose for both the background and the model. But if I can't, then I'll expose for the background and have the model just a little bit underexposed.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I want to tell you thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me for this live stream, for answering all these questions. I was thinking we were going to get some like really hard, like controversial type questions, and everyone was pretty nice. So thanks to everybody who commented and
That's
played
awesome.
nice today. That was pretty cool.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yep, totally, my pleasure. And so, what are you working on? Where can people go and check out your latest stuff?
They can follow me on my Instagram. It's Irene Rudnyk Photo, or they can find me on my YouTube channel. You can just type in Irene Rudnyk and find me there.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me. If you guys watched until right now, until the end, let me know in the comments section that you made it through the whole thing. Just say I watched, all of it, and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if it's your first time here. I'm going to be doing live streams every single week, and then also posting my own regular content throughout the week. And also head over to Irene's channel, subscribe to her channel if you haven't already. She does a lot of really cool and creative stuff, and just make some really pretty pictures. So
Thank you.
yeah, so definitely go and check that out. But again, thank you guys all for joining me on the live stream today, and catch you out on the next one.
Bye.